All right, folks, I thought I'd do an initial impressions of my new to me cold steel SRK and CPM3V. I had the SRK just in the SK5 steel before and I actually gave it away to a family member. But this was on sale on Amazon for a price I could not refuse. So here it is. Um, kind of go through everything on it. I've always thought these SecureX sheaths are actually pretty good. Pretty good value for money. Like they come, it's a good sheath that comes with the knife. You don't really need anything extra. You can lash it onto stuff. It comes with um, a good belt loop that's detachable, and you know you can secure it on with this if you're going through some rough stuff. Um, Anyways, I thought I'd do this kind of review. You can see I've got an electrical contraption running. This is a fuel pump for my motorcycle, and there's a fuel relay. I'm trying to test if the fuel relay is bad, but I just got to sit here for probably half an hour to an hour before my contraption begins to work here. There's the bike there, if anyone's curious. She stripped down, a new fuel pump over there ready to go. But back to the knife. It sits really snug in the sheath, which is nice. So yeah, it's your classic SRK, but this bad boy is in CPM3V, made in Taiwan, which is nice. I like things made in Taiwan. I like all my Work Tough gear knives are all made in Taiwan. Viclin does a great job with those. But yeah, so she's got some pretty thick stock on her. Probably, I'm gonna guess like 0.23 inches or something like that on there. It's decently thick. It'll be good for splitting wood. You got obviously your nice pointy end there for stabbing, and then the blade's quite sharp, which is what you'd expect from factory. The grind on both sides is pretty decent. This, I think they look pretty even for the most part. And then the plunge is a little bit uneven, just like a hair. It's pretty close. Honestly, it's pretty well done. So I don't really have any complaints with the fit and finish of this knife. Everything's quite good. In fact, I would say very good. So I'm pretty happy. I kind of forget how lightweight these knives are because of that stick tang. Like the handles end is just very lightweight, and the blade end's a little bit heavier, which actually would be useful for like some kind of chopping tasks and stuff like that. Yeah, and I believe the blade length on these is about 6 inches or so, which is a good survival knife length, enough that you can baton some small pieces of wood. You could technically baton big pieces of wood with this. You just do it in smaller pieces. I have a video about how to do that on my channel if anyone's wanting to watch that. Sorry, it's focusing on my battery for some reason. So yeah, the nice thing about these cold steel knives is they're generally pretty good quality for the money you pay. I think this one's no different. I paid 150 Canadian dollars for this, which is probably about $100 US, which is pretty darn good for a big hunk of CPM3V like this, and a good blade design in my opinion. Something I do like about this knife, and part of the reason I bought it, is it works good as like a winter knife. So I live in Canada. Where I live can get down below minus 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's mother effing cold. Freezes car batteries and stuff like that. So having a rubber grip on this when you're in the cold, like obviously I'm hopefully not going to be out in those types of temperatures, but if I'm out in say minus 20, which is pretty common, which is still pretty cold, you can hold on to this knife for a little while without it draining a lot of the heat out of your hand and making your hand start cramping up and stuff, which some knives do, which is nice. And it just kind of feels relatively nice in the hand. It feels pretty grippy. You can easily put your thumb up here for doing some feather sticking or carving, whatever you want to do. So I feel like this knife would work okay for hunting, but really good for survival type tasks. For me, in a survival knife, I'm looking for something that can stab, because I live in a place where there's lots of big predators. And I've encountered a lot of those predators. Never in a life or death situation yet, but it could happen. And I'd like a knife at least with a 5-inch blade for stabbing a big wild animal, and 6 to 7 inches is more ideal. You don't want to get too long with your blade because it can then it kind of starts getting in the way. If you're in kind of a close quarter situation, the blade becomes cumbersome and it'll get caught on parts of the animal's fur and stuff. So you want something that's not, sorry, my camera cut out there, long enough that it's gonna penetrate to get at those vital organs and stuff like that, get at some vital arteries, things like that. So yeah, this is a really good military knife, survival knife. Can be pushed into the role of a hunting knife. You know, this would make a really good truck knife. Maybe just a standard version with the SK5 steel or whatever would be a good truck one, just in case somebody breaks in and steals it or something and you haven't lost the CPM3V version. But yeah, the nice thing about the CPM3V is it holds an edge really long. It's kind of pseudo stainless. It does get some light surface rust on it when it's been kept in a moist environment for a while, but it's pretty stainless. And it's very tough steel, so it shouldn't break on you. The one thing we worry about with these SRKs, if you're batoning the living crap out of it, it's got a stick tang. So the tang's about, I don't know, maybe that wide inside, so it's not a full thickness tang width of the blade. Effectively, it just comes in right about there and then comes down to the bottom of the handle right here. So it's a stick tang, but it's full length. So theoretically with the CPM3V, it shouldn't break. Even it's quite rare even for the SK5 versions to break with people batoning, so it should be fine. But yeah, initial impressions are it's very much like my SK5 version I had. And it's gonna fit in well into my knife collection, and I'll probably use it a fair amount in the winter. I'll probably use it for hiking and stuff because for its size, it's actually very lightweight. This knife is like 7 ounces or something. A lot of the knives that I have that are comparable in size to this, that have a full tang with like G10 grips and stuff like that, they're well into the like 12 ounce range. So that's, you know, you're saving some weight there that you're carrying if you're backpacking, things like that. So that's another nice thing about this knife, is that it's just very lightweight but still capable of a lot of tasks, which is great. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. I will for sure do some videos at some point of me batoning, making feather sticks. We'll make a fire. I'm going to see if this spine is sharp enough to throw a fire steel, and I can feel it right now. It's pretty sharp. I think it's going to throw sparks off a fire steel, no problem. So we'll make a video doing all that. We'll make a fire. Thanks for watching. And let's hope my experiment goes okay here. It looks like so far everything's good.